afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Galetta, a.k.a. Hammonton Mike, bringing you another solid, fun-loving, but yet thorough special about ice hockey. Again, joining me, my NHL analyst for the Sports Box, Brian Attard. Brian?
Pleasure to be here, as always.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to be in the Sports Box. Always. Today we're going to talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. We're going to review back to the semifinals, and we're going to roll right into the finals, get you a little updated, okay? First round we're going to talk about is the Lightning and the Islanders. And I think, Brian, we had this one pegged from the jump with the Tampa Bay Lightning winning this one. We had 6, but it took them out in 5. I mean, this series you can define by a couple different things. I think the main thing was scoring, and I think, you know, with Grice being in goal again, it didn't pan out. I think the goaltending was key. Ben Bishop took over the series. You got some main things with the Islanders happening, with Tavares not scoring or getting 1 goal in this series. I mean, Tampa Bay has been a surprise. They've definitely been a surprise.
Yeah, I think playoff experience played a big role in this series. Tampa's been there and done that, as we said. They went to the finals last year looking to get back there. Yep. They came into the series missing Stamkos, missing Anton Strawman, missing a couple depth players like a JT Brown. Got huge contributions from guys that you may or may not really know. A guy like Nikita Kucherov had 4 goals in the series.
I was going to say, he had a monster series for this
Absolutely. Victor Hedman had 4 goals in the series, a really big game.
There's a guy, I need to cut you off, there's a guy right there you never thought would step up like he did. Talk about stepping up and really helping the series out.
No, absolutely. And John Tavares, and you mentioned this, he only had 1 goal in the whole series in Game 1. And he had such a big series against Florida. You were giving him the, they were in awe of him last series. He
actually is the one in the last series who really took them to the next level, and he just came up small. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But like we said, the Lightning, and I'm one to say I bashed him from the beginning. I said the Lightning's not going to go far with the loss of Stamkos. He is skating, but to be honest, I don't think Stamkos is going to be back for this series or the next series if they move along. And I think Tampa Bay's fine right now. I mean, with Tyler Johnson, Alex Killorn, I mean, they're all playing solid as a unit right now, and like you said, Brian, Victor Hedman, I mean, I just can't keep talking about him. He's just playing out of his mind right now. And that's what the Lightning need. That's definitely what they need. And the Islanders, they're close, but they're not there yet.
Well, Hedman was a very high pick, but if you look at the way the series kind of broke down, it really turned in Game 3. Because the Islanders had a lead in that game very late. They got scored upon in the last minute, lost it in overtime, had a third-period lead in Game 4, blew that one as well. And Game 5, they looked completely just non-competitive.
Game 5 was just a drubbing. That was just the Islanders just spent that series, down 4-0, and there was no return from that.
No, and we said that it would be interesting to kind of see how the Islanders would react. Again, it was their first playoff series win since 1993.
Happy they move on.
Absolutely. And how would they react to some of the adversity? And they folded like a cheap suit. They really
cheap suit.
Not good at all. I think Tampa's got to feel pretty emboldened. They've gotten through 2 series here without the big guys, without Stamkos and Strawman. And the Islanders going into this offseason have some really big roster issues. Kyle Pozo, Franz Nielsen, Matt Martin, all unrestricted free agents. Decisions to make on Ryan Strome, Casey Cizikas, and Shane Prince that are restricted free agents. It's going to be a different looking team next year. And
you still have Martin Halak, but he was nowhere to be found here because of injuries. So, in goal, I think they're going to be okay in goal. But like Brian said, a lot of adjustments to make. I think Tampa Bay is going to be fine.
Question marks for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Move on to the next showcase that we had in the last round was the Capitals against the Penguins. And again, Hammonton Mike took one again because I had Washington in 6 in this series. This series I think was a very good series. I think goaltending was phenomenal. It ended up being Holtby gave up 16 goals. Matt Murray gave up 15 goals. And it was a phenomenal series for goaltending. It was great. It just comes down to the guys that have been there before against some of the guys that are just meshing together as a team. You want to talk about Sidney Crosby again. Same cast of characters. We have Kessel. Hornfist really stepped up in this series. I think he played solid as well. Chris Letang, solid defenseman, cheap shot artist, but you know what? Pittsburgh's getting it done. Pittsburgh's just getting it done.
You know what? It was a great matchup, marquee matchup. NHL got what it wanted. Every game but one was a 1-goal game, a couple overtime games there. Pittsburgh was just a better team. If you look at some blame from the Washington side, they really can't blame the guys that they brought in this year. They acquired T.J. Oshie in a trade from St. Louis. He had 5 goals in the series, had a hat trick in Game 1, 2 game-winning goals, the 2 games that they did win.
Justin Williams brought him in from the Kings, and he had, I think, 3 goals in the series.
3 goals in the series, yeah.
Yeah, a couple assists.
You want to start looking for blame. Evgeny Kuznetsov, the rookie, was the top point producer for them in the regular season. He had 1 assist in the series. A guy like Nick Backstrom was right below Ovechkin, the third leading point producer.
Yep.
Had 4 assists in the series. Pittsburgh just continues to roll.
You want to talk about another guy who really actually killed him silently? It was Brooks Orpik, ex-Pittsburgh Penguin. Talk about a 3-game suspension that hurt them defensively, coming back, taking that big 5-minute penalty that they scored 2 goals on to really seal their fate. I mean, that's a guy you really point to. You don't want to say it was one guy in this series, but I mean, there's a guy right there. And you know what? I hate to say it, but Alex Ovechkin, here's a guy that's got to be top 3 in the league, without a doubt. And here's a guy who scores 50 goals almost every year. Again, he doesn't get a run of the cup. I mean, you got to feel for this guy at this point.
I don't know what you do to that team. You know, and I think the difference in the two teams, I really felt that the superstars kind of canceled each other out.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh got a lot of production from the secondary guys, the Hornqvist, the Carl Hagelins.
Yep.
Hornqvist had a couple goals, Hagelin had 3. Malkin only had 1 goal in the series, and Crosby didn't get 1 at all. So Washington, did a decent job defending, but it's the curse of the President's Trophy. The last Eastern Conference team to win the President's Trophy and go on to win the Stanley Cup.
It's only happened one time.
1994, New York Rangers.
It's only happened one time in the last 8 years, besides the Blackhawks and the Rangers. I mean, you can go way back to see who's won that. Washington, it's almost a case of there's so many superstars, there's only one puck. It's kind of like basketball. You have all superstars on one team, there's only one basketball. But again, Capitals are out, Pittsburgh moves on, and away we go. So let's talk about the premier matchup in the finals, which I think these two teams match up really well. The Penguins and the Lightning. I mean, you talk about the Lightning with, the underdog story about them getting there without their superstar, and Hedman and guys like that stepping up in this series. It's a big task because Pittsburgh's rolling right now, and by all accounts, Pittsburgh should go to the finals and win it. But you know what? I think the Lightning can sneak them here.
I don't know. I think it would have been a real tough ask of Tampa to really extend this if they were really at full throttle and full strength. But, I mentioned it last round, and you kind of agreed a little bit, that the Caps-Penguins series was really kind of the de facto final. I'm going to stick by that. Tampa can hang their hat on the fact that they did beat Pittsburgh all 3 times they played this year, but that was more like January, February. Pittsburgh really turned it on in March and kind of got hot there. And as we mentioned in the previous series, Pittsburgh's really been winning games from their secondary guys. It wasn't the Malkins and the Crosbys that have really been, willing them to beat teams like the Rangers and the Capitals. If you got like Phil Kessel, Phil Kessel was a guy who, in Boston and in Toronto, was counted on to be the guy.
He's not now.
And now he's not. And now he's flourishing.
Player.
Very flourishing.
Yep.
I really thought, and I think we both talked about this too, I thought we'd see Fleury by now. And it hasn't really mattered.
I don't think you're going to see him.
You're a goalie guy.
I mean, Matt Murray, I underestimated Matt Murray. I know he's a rookie. He was touted big time coming up in the league. He won the Calder Trophy down there for rookie best player and stuff. But, I mean, he's been absolutely keeping them in games. You talk about goalies who can steal games for you. He might be in that category right now.
He's been phenomenal. And, if I'm Pittsburgh, honestly, the way my team's put together, I might look to see what the trade market is for Fleury in the offseason. You're
going to have to. He's a big-ticket goalie, and he's not old guy, but with Murray coming up in the ranks, I mean, Murray, 23 years old, 24.
Very young, 22.
I mean, you're talking a guy who could stay there for a long time. Fleury can't get it done in the playoffs and has been injury-prone this year tremendously, so that's an issue. But for me, if you want to look at the matchup, Pittsburgh against the Lightning, obviously I take a look at the goaltenders first. Matt Murray is not the same old rookie. He's not a guy that's just going to be a rookie and not be ready to go. He's ready to go. He looks really solid. When it comes to Ben Bishop, he's been there before. He's a goalie that I would say a veteran goalie that can stand the test and will rise to the occasion. So with that, again, I know we're more than likely going to differ on this pick too. I think the Lightning can sneak out a victory here. Although I think it's going to go 7. I think it's going to be a long, drawn-out series with a lot of beating up, a lot of banging in the corners, a lot of guys getting ticked off at each other. You know what? I'm going to say it. A lot of guys getting pissed off in this series, okay? I think the Lightning are going to win in 7 games. I think just the Lightning have it all rolling right now, even though Stamkos isn't going to play, with Nikita Kucherov, Tyler Johnson, Killorn, you're talking Victor Hedman. I think they got the idea, they got the team to go.
We are definitely going to differ.
There we go. I like it when we differ here.
Pittsburgh's been the hottest team for a very long time. I'm going to take Pittsburgh in 5. I don't think it's going to go that long at all. I mean, again, you're missing two big. This is not the Islanders, and this is not.
But you know what? It hasn't hurt them now.
It hasn't.
It hasn't hurt them now.
This is where I think their depth is really going to be tested, because now you're asking guys who really are second-line players who played very well. I'm not taking anything away from them, but without the big guy in the middle and your defense down a guy, I think Tampa's going to would struggle to extend the series if they were healthy. They're not. I'm going to take the Penguins at 5 to go on to the Stanley Cup Finals.
I think you're just counting Lightning a little bit, but hey, that's why we're here at Sports Box. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so just to review real quick, if you went out for a cup of coffee or something, you missed it, you shut your thing off for a second. Tampa, I have Tampa going in 7, and Brian has Pittsburgh in 5. So that's all the time we have for Sports Box for Eastern Conference Final Special. Keep an eye out. We got some good things coming. We got the Western Conference Final. Keep an eye on that. And remember, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters. Brian?
It's right here.
It's right here, and it's only here. Keep watching. Take care. See ya!
Don't forget to subscribe.